we have discussed is very practical because you see this example exactly how it developed in the real world. Okay, so again, the theory is just a experience in the can, I would say, right? Theory is an explanation of the real world. A good theory explains the real world. Okay, if it doesn't explain how the worlds work, it's useless, right? Don't forget that, right? So especially in management, in business, theories we're developing is to help managers to make decisions, right? So planning and a strategy. That is the topic for today. I will be brief, okay? I'll try not to take too much of your time. Online, I know it's difficult to focus. So in this course, they also provide a framework of a planning process. We have seen different one. You're going to see many of those. This is the one in the this this textbook, and we're going to insist on the environmental analysis. You see here, you see the vision, mission. So this same model or similar model, I would say, than the one I proposed to you, and you see key elements. Okay, the what is your vision? What is your mission? And something missing here is the value statement. Um, the goals. But so these are little difference here from different textbook. Environmental analysis is a SWOT analysis. So that we can have our pastel model, the SWOT model, the 5 force model, Porter's 5 forces model. Okay, so formulate the strategy, implement the strategy, evaluate the strategy, and start over again. Okay, so this model is good. uh, I have chosen to standardize all my classes with only one model, and that model is this one here. Okay, so you can follow that one. I think that will be better because everybody will do the same, and we can refer to that model. Okay, so this model is similar to that one. Okay, just like a different presentation, maybe different, a little bit different, you know, language, but I like that one. So I would suggest you follow that one. Now, remember that every box represents a lot of work, okay? So to do, it's not like something you want to do like lightly, okay? So there's a lot of thinking that should go into this, okay? Um, and again, I will say dig deeper, okay? So ask you, why is that? Or we explain it better, okay? Um, so that's interesting. Actually, just about that, I was watching a video. Jeff Bezos of Amazon. Um, he was interviewed about talking about this strategy. Just I watched that video. Watch that video this morning, early this morning, and what Bezos said is that our strategy is to focus on the customer. And then the interviewer, Charlie Rose, who's a very smart guy, he interrupted Bezos right away and said, "Okay, what do you mean by focusing on the customer? I don't you think that Walmart does the same? Why you are better than Walmart because they do this as well, right?" And then many companies are providing that the same statement. So you see what I mean here is that just how do you articulate that strategy? How do you uh, um, implement the strategies? You have to always to think about what it means in operational terms. Okay, so if you say, well, we are focusing on the customer, how do you translate that into action? Okay, in deeds. Okay, so that's the point. Okay, all right. So you follow this model. That is a strategic management process. You see, so uh, now it leads to a strategy selection. So there are big debates about what is a strategy. Okay, so we can talk about that later. But I mean, and then there's so many things to say about all that. And The SWOT analysis here is to strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. Uh, Strengths and weaknesses come from the internal analysis, and the threat and opportunities come from the external environment. Okay, so for example, what we just mentioned is that fuel cells is a threat to battery electric battery cars, right? So battery manufacturers like providing batteries will see the fuel cells as a competitor. So the fuel cells improvement is a threat to the battery makers, battery manufacturers. But is it a serious threat to the battery manufacturers? Now the newer batteries manufacturers are doing very well because the electric cars is getting more and more popular. Of course, like the electric car is a threat to the oil companies. If you are an oil companies, you want to diversify maybe in electric, you know, you can have a electric recharge maybe. Whatever, what are you going to do if you are in a gas station? In the long term, gas stations will disappear, right? We know that, it's for sure. Okay, so the question is how long it will take, and how you can convert a gas station into something else, maybe I don't know. So um, yeah, that's the idea. Now, the problem is to identify the threats that are immediate and the long-term threats. So long-term threats maybe will all be dead by the time they are materialized. The question is, it's very difficult to determine when it will happen. Okay, so for example, you see fuel cell. The guys that were developing fuel cells 20 years ago, they were right in terms of the potential of fuel cells, but you see they were ahead of the time. 20 years, it took 20 years to really develop a fuel cells that is actually ready for the marketplace. You see, and I think maybe it's today, right? But we don't know. The test will start in 2024, right? So who knows? Okay, so. Uh, This being said, you see why planning is important. Well, of course, planning is important, but we know that plans fail all the time, right? Plans fails all the time. So why bother to plan if plans fails all the time? Well, not all plans fail, but many will fail, right? So uh, one thing that it says about planning is that the process is as important as the outcome. Okay, in other words, the process of planning um, has benefit in itself. For if you go back to here, when you go through that process, you give your people, you see, you involve managers at every level in that planning process. So it will give the managers a sense of belonging, a purpose. They will think they are important in the decision making, and whatever decisions comes out, they will feel that these decisions belong to them too. They are not imposed from the top, but they have participated in the elaboration of those solutions. Therefore, that's what we say, that participation is a key element of a planning, right? It gives a sense of direction and purpose. It helps for coordination and control. So not only, I want to insisting on that, not only the plan itself, the outcome is good, having a good plan is certainly useful, but the process of doing that planning also have a lot of benefits, provide a lot of benefits, okay? Intangible benefits. Um, you see here the purpose, you see a sense of purpose. So what we are doing is important, and we participate in the big thing, right? Well, this in theory. Now, um, in the best managed organization, the planning is taken seriously, and people at many levels participate to the elaboration of the plan. So an effective plans will provide unity, continuity, accuracy, and flexibility. Okay, so yeah, four qualities. You can think about that. I'm not going to discuss this in further. Um, okay, there are different levels of planning, so it's very important to remember that. Basically, three levels. The uh, First is at the corporate level or top level, at the business unit level, and at the functional level, right? So that's something you can also think about. There is three level: top management, you at the business unit, uh, or functional level. Uh, um, Functional managers and so but yeah, this maybe kind of confusion here. um, the business level is done at the business unit level, and functional level is for every department, for example. Okay. Okay, so okay, functional level, so we're not going to talk too much about that. Okay, so you see here those um, again, explanation about what means corporate level, business or division level, and functional level. Okay, so these are the three levels. You need three levels of planning, and obviously you see the at the corporate level. This is what we normally mean by strategy, a corporate strategy. Uh, we refer normally to the corporate level strategy. Okay, some most of the time, but it's can be at the every division may have their own strategy. For example, you can, well, this is an example of General Electric. Since then, General Electric has disinvested in some of those uh, division. See, General Electric is a conglomerate with we call conglomerate companies that have unrelated businesses, right? For example, NBC is a network, right? TV network. So it's very different than Motors, okay, and Lightning and Capital. GE Capital is like a bank, right? So aircraft, engines, and TV is totally unrelated businesses, right? So that's why we call GE a conglomerate. Now, GE has did invest in some of those. I think they have get rid of NBC already, and they are disinvesting because now they were in trouble for many years, even though they were very successful in the past. But you see that's very difficult to manage all the unrelated businesses, so they have disinvest in those. The functional level, manufacturing, marketing. You see the function of the business, so activities, if you want. Function means, you know, core activities, manufacturing, marketing, HR management, R&D, uh, yeah, and sometimes finance also. Okay. Okay, long term. So the horizon of planning is very important. So when you think about planning, you should always think about, well, what kind of plan we are talking about. Long term plan, uh, intermediate, or short term. Rolling, mm, uh, well, called rolling. This concept here is not so. I think so. Uh, I mean, we don't see that a lot of times. So rolling plans, but these three are short term, intermediate, and long term time. Okay, so long terms is a um, actually normally 5 years. Um, Intermediate, normally the long term is for corporate level, and intermediate for business level, and short term for functional level. Okay, so normally it's the division we make for those. All right, so I will I will skip a few things. Levels of responsibilities are very. You see here that top level responsible for obviously the long term planning, uh, middle managers for business level or division level. We call them sometimes tactical plans, and the first line managers for functional level plans. So, for example, operational plans, short term plans. So, yeah. Okay. So, what's okay? One important thing is the five forces model, and when you it's a tool to analyze um, the future of a company, and that is a very famous model. So I would suggest you uh, try your best to understand and to apply these models to your project. So what are the threats of new entrants? Uh, what is the bargaining power of buyers? And what is the rivalry among the competitors in my environment, in my industry? So these are important factors. Are there threats of substitutes? Again, yeah, you see that you have to analyze. For example, we just mentioned the fuel cell. So obviously, is fuel cells a threat to replace batteries for electric cars? It seems now, a long time ago, we didn't know if fuel cells will be the main technology that will replace gasoline, combustion engines, right? We were not sure 20 years ago if batteries will be a better replacement than fuel cells. At the time, it was not sure because battery have improved a lot. It's probably batteries have improved more than fuel cells. So now, therefore, we know now that batteries are going to win the battle, okay, and will substitute to the gasoline cars. So we can make a pretty um, obvious prediction that electric cars will replace all um, gas gas car, right? Gasoline, or if you want, fossil fuels vehicles, right? Seems obvious to me right now, but it was not that obvious 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, maybe people will think that fuel cells will be a better replacement than battery cars, than batteries. But you see, so what is the threat of substitutes? Well, it's difficult. All these the answers to these questions are not always easy. If it would be easy, everybody will be a billionaire, as I said so often, right? Okay, developing your strategy. So I'm not going to talk about that because you have to read by yourself. Insist though, the question is, what is a strategy? Many people don't know what is a strategy, and they use the word strategy, but they don't know what they're talking about.